Thanks for logging on to Wayne.com for another edition of Inside the Zone alongside Blake Sebring of the News Sentinel. I'm Glenn Marini, and plenty to talk about on the ice and off the ice for the Komets this week. Let's start out with the news coming out this afternoon. The Komets re-signing for the third time Jamie Milam, the veteran defenseman. What does that mean? What does that move mean to you, Blake, bringing Milam back in?
Well, the more I think about it, the more I like it, because they've had guys that move the puck fine, but they need somebody to set up the power play, and that's Jamie. I mean, you add Sierozinski and Milam in 1 week, your power play just got a lot better just because of overall quality of player.
When it comes to Ciro, there had been some scuttlebutt, some talk that they were going to add him, so that wasn't necessarily out of left field, but I think Milam was a little bit.
Right.
And why was it Milam that's the perfect fit for the Komets at this point?
There's two things. The first time when Jamie was available, the Komets already had 4 veterans. Right now they have 2 open veteran spots because Colin Chalk is out and Brent Henley is up in the AHL. And they don't know if either one of them is coming back right now. I mean, they expect Colin to come back. They kind of expect Brent to come back, but they don't know. So how long do you wait to keep that spot open if you can go get somebody?
And Ciro played reasonably well this weekend. We'll talk more about that in a little while. But with Milam, he's not just coming off the shelf. He played over in England. He played over in Poland. So he's been playing overseas. He shouldn't have that huge transition of coming off the couch and playing professional hockey.
And again, he knows the coach. He knows the system. He knows the players. I think adding Ciro and Milam together is a pretty amazing dynamic because they're both going to help make each other better. And that'll be what's interesting about it.
Off camera, you and I were talking last week. You said the 2 toughest things to find at this point in the season from All-Star break on every year is a forward that can mash in the crease and an offensive defenseman. Komets have done that in the last week and a half. How impressed are you with the way the Frankies are putting together this team?
Well, the one thing about them is that they never give up. They don't just say, "Oh, this isn't the year." I mean, which makes it kind of hard for us. We're always on call, it seems like. But for them, I mean, they never give up. I mean, they want to win as much as anybody, and they're always trying. I mean, sometimes they bring back a lot of guys who've been here before, but that has advantages and disadvantages. I don't see anybody else right now in the ECHL who's adding a defenseman who scored 20 goals last year. There aren't those guys out there. It's just amazing that way.
I know I argued with you at the end of last season that Milam could very well have been the team's MVP last season because there were times when the offense last year could not score, sans the power play, and the guy that was scoring on the power play was Milam. You're talking about 20 goals last season.
He had 11 power play goals, I remember.
So can he step in to their first power play unit and be effective offensively like he was last year with the slap shot?
Well, think about it this way. All year they've been trying to struggle to find that 5th guy on the power play, that other defenseman. You can put Maggs out there. You can put Butler out there. They've always been having a forward play there. So now you've got a guy who's a legitimate threat that the defense has to respect. Suddenly that might open up some areas for everybody else.
Does that make you feel better about the fact that Henley might not possibly be back in a Komets jersey this year?
Yeah, you can't go into the playoffs with 5 rookie defensemen. I mean, as good as these kids have played, and really what do you expect out of 5 rookies? They've played very well for that. But you can't go into a series and probably win a series like that.
Yeah, Kishel had a goal on Saturday. We've seen him progress throughout the year, especially on the offensive side of the puck. But you're right, rookies in the playoffs can be a scary situation. We talked about Milam. How about Ciro? Because he did get a goal this weekend. What have you seen from him since he started really getting out there on the ice?
Well, his first shift, he had, I think, 3 hits. And it was like just go bang, And his legs are not there. They are not there at all yet. And he was still getting 3-4 chances a game. And it's because he goes from one side of the post to the other side of the post, and he comes up to the low slot, and he goes to that again and again, and it's like he's always right there. And it's like the defensemen are like, oh boy, I got to try to move you. It's hard to move him, And he's got that long stick, and boy, it is sometimes. He probably could have. If he'd have been in shape this weekend, he probably would have had 3 goals.
Really?
And he'll tell you that probably too, because there was a few of them right on his stick in front, and you could just see in his face he knew he could have had them.
And since he gave up a lot of rebound opportunities on Saturday night, that's specifically where we saw Ciro in the playoffs a few years ago
Yeah.
really excel in terms of his game.
Well, and I think you're going to see a benefit to Ciro as well in that you're going to see Ciro take somebody like Matt Furman under his wing and say, now watch this. Now think about trying this and stuff. And Matt got 2 goals, this weekend too, so he's already doing his job. I mean, I thought the biggest difference in the game Saturday night was, everybody was crashing the net. And they weren't waiting for the whistle. They were just, the whistle be darned. They were just going. And I thought that was the biggest difference.
Yeah, going through the games last week, Giosa gets the game winner with about 6 minutes to go in the third period on
Beautiful
Wednesday.
shot.
Yeah, which was a nice victory
You
on the
guys
road
had
at
great
Kalamazoo.
video of that too.
It was a little far away, but
it was amazing.
Hey, Giosa, when he's healthy, which he
Yeah.
hasn't been most of this season, he's a really nice addition to this team. Then on Friday, they just come out flat.
Yeah, they were
how do you
dead.
explain Friday, and then how do you explain the absolute turnaround 360 degrees from where they were on Saturday?
Well, sometimes you can see, I get there 2 hours before the game, and sometimes you can tell. There was no indication that was going to happen Friday night. Everybody was the same as they've always been. And when they came into the building, I felt like they were, ready to go. They were focused, and then to come out like that and get 2 shots in 11 minutes. Come on. They keep talking about they're trying to bring their road game and play it at home. But that doesn't work. In the road, you can play passive. You can play, let the other team smack against your neutral zone trap and create the turnovers. That doesn't seem to be working at home. And I felt like they were much more aggressive on Saturday night. Like we said, they were crashing the net. They were just going in.
And you and I have talked about it a lot the past couple of weeks, the goaltending situation. They got 3 guys on the roster right now. Ryder looks like the number 1 guy, so it's a fight for that second slot because you can't keep 3 going into the playoffs. Marco Kuzno did not have a great start on Friday night. He got pulled after.
He got no help either.
16:50, giving up 3 goals. Charlie came in, played well, and then he finally got in a groove on Saturday and played well again Saturday. Does this show us where they're at? Is Charlie the number 2 guy and Marco is going to try to have to jump him, or do we not even know that at this point?
I don't think we know that at this point. And I don't think that's a bad thing because you don't want your goaltenders feeling too comfortable. You'd like them to feel a little bit more comfortable than they've been, but you don't want them to feel too comfortable. Charlie was remarkably different Saturday night. Friday night, because of the situation and the way the defense was playing, he was going post to post and outside the posts, and he was all over the place. Saturday night, he was much more under control. He was much more steady, much more stable in his stance. He was controlling his rebounds, which he's been working really hard on in practice. And like he said, I got back-to-back games. I got to relax a little bit, And then they came out and only gave up 6 shots in the first period too, so he felt comfortable. It's just a weird game sometimes. How many goals did Kalamazoo get Friday night where some weird bounce right to their stick and in? It was just ridiculous.
Right. Do you feel like we saw some of the Charlie on Saturday that we saw as an opponent last year in the playoffs that really, if he doesn't get the concussion, Komets might not have won the cup last year?
Oh, I thought he did a much better job of controlling his rebounds than he did last year. A lot more pucks were going in and out to the corner, or he was kicking them out towards the blue line, and there weren't that many rebounds that Cincinnati could get to.
And you've seen a lot of that in practice. That's one of the big things that Charlie's been working on.
They've all been working on it. All 4 goalies, and that's what's kind of neat about them is they all 4 work together with Nick Boucher too. He's kind of the lay coach right now, working with these guys, and they respect him. How could you not respect him with what he's done with 4 titles?
Sure.
You'd be a fool not to. And they watch video together, and you can see how they're all working together.
All right, so one of the more interesting road trips of the season is coming up. 3 games at Colorado. We're talking Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. This is a Colorado franchise, proud franchise.
Very good franchise.
Proud history, good fan base. What do you need to do to be successful in this 3-game road trip? Because last week, even though you played terribly on Friday, you cut the lead as far as the division goes with Cincinnati in first place. You were down 9 coming into the week, and even with that stinker on Friday night, it's down to 6 points.
Yeah, I think they got to go in and play their typical road game. They got to sit back in the trap and make things easy for their goalies and wait for opportunities to capitalize on. It really is as simple as that. You look at what Brandon Marino's doing on the road. Look at what Eric Giosa does on the road. Some of these guys get most of their points on the road, it seems like.
And you know, we make a lot out of it when they make one-game road trips or stay on the road at multiple locations. Is it easier when you get 3 games in 4 days, really 5 days if you want to count traveling beforehand? We've seen it when they went down to Gwinnett and down to Orlando this season. Does that make it seem like less of a road trip and more of just an extended stay?
They like it that way because they, you know, especially the last couple weeks, they've been talking about all the distractions at home, people asking for tickets and things like that, and you know, getting phone calls at home. They don't get those on the road, and that's a big thing. You know, it's a little thing, but little things that throw you off your routine really make a difference. I mean, you've got a child, you know how that is.
It can be crazy. It can be crazy. The grandparental demands. Actually, no, that's great. We have grandparents close by. That's an awesome thing.
Rescue yourself here.
Hey, yeah, I know. Babysitting, free babysitting. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Final question. Heading forward to this week, what do you take out of last week, and then what are you most looking forward to see this week when they go out to Colorado?
I will give credit to one guy. I saw Brett Smith dominate. I mean, you knew when he was on the ice each time. It didn't matter where the puck was. You knew where he was, and Cincinnati knew where he was. I want to see more of that, and I think we will.
All right, Brett Smith, the all-star last season, healthy and feeling good and doing big things.
And being ornery.
That's what he does. I mean, he's not a big guy, but he will be ornery in the crease. All right. Thank you very much. He's Blake Sebring. I'm Glenn Marini. We'll talk Komets hockey with you again next Monday here on Inside the Zone.